Komm mal hier neben mich.
Ich bin neben dich. Okay. Hallo? Hallo?
Hört man dich?
Hört man mich? Ja, man hört mich. So, vielen, vielen Dank, dass ihr alle gekommen seid zu unserem zweiten Vortrag unserer Vorlesungsreihe Zukunftsfähig zur Kunstfähig. Genau, heute mit Gast aus Italien. Und ich würde
Genau, ja, heute zu unserem zweiten Vortrag ist Cristina Gambioli von Cucinella Architects aus Bologna eingeflogen und sie wird uns ihre Eindrücke in die Projekte Tekla und ARPA geben. Und ja, dann sage ich mal. Der Vortrag wird auf Englisch gehalten. Ich hoffe, das ist kein Problem für alle. Später bei den Fragen, die können aber auch gerne auf Deutsch gestellt werden, das ist kein Problem. Okay, viel Spaß. Ich stelle es weg.
Dann, ja, hallo zusammen. Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen, aber leider, Entschuldigung, ich werde diesen Vortrag auf Englisch machen, wenn alles in Ordnung ist. Aber am Ende könnt ihr Fragen auf Deutsch machen. Kein Thema. So, I am here and I'm actually one of the project directors of Cucinella Architects. If you don't know our office, Mario Cucinella based his office in 1999 in Bologna. He studied before in Genova. He was with the professor Giancarlo De Carlo, a really famous architect, and afterwards he works by Renzo Piano in Paris. After along all these years, he made a lot of researches and a lot of ideas about the meaning of sustainability. And that's why in 1999, he decided to base his office in Bologna in Italy. And since a couple of years, we are having as well another office in Milan. And because of course we have a lot of projects in Milan, as you have been seeing, Milan is a city that has been growing a lot in the last years. And that's why we decided to have two firms. At the moment, we are 120 architects by Cucinella Architects. So I will start making a preview about what is the meaning for us of sustainability and which are the main goals of our work as architect by Cucinella. For us, sustainability means beauty, sensibility, and we are always researching a new idea of beauty. We need as well, so how we are working and what we are looking for when we are making this research. We are working with a group of architects that part of them are artisans and part of them are more people that are using softwares like Grasshopper, because we think that with the time we cannot just make architecture through artisans, through models, through the other ways that we were using in the past, using a model shop that we have in our office. But now when we have to respond to all the questions that they have been asking us as architects to build big buildings and not just small things, we have to deal with the sustainability, and the sustainability means to make a lot of researches, to be curious, to be an explorer, and to try always to deal with new limits, with new constraints, and to go ahead about all these problems. And to deal with all these problems, we always need to make research through our model shop. So all our projects are always starting in the model shops, as you can see here in this picture. And then together with it, we are using, of course, the software of the 21st century, and we are making calculations, and we are always trying to find a perfect balance between what means to build a building with always a research of beautiness and at the same time a research of sustainability. So these are our values. Together with the research of beauty, we are always researching as well, what does it mean to build a building in a place? So we are always trying to use creativity with empathy. What does it mean? Because for us, creativity, it means it could be something really dangerous because it's kind of an word that is really crazy and furious and was always to conquer new things. But of course, if we are writing these words together with empathy and to thinking about what the clients want, what is the research that we are looking for, which are our goals, which are even the things that, for example, the people that will live there will need, then we can maybe start our research and to keep and reach our goals. So that's why always we have to deal with sustainability looking from each angle. So looking from several things, taking the constraints and the limits as a new challenge to find something new. And this sentence is even really important for us because we have always to research about the meaning of beauty, the beauty for our times. So that means that we have to think about to build a timeless architecture. So something that in the future someone will look at and think, okay, this architecture is made because it was the response about what was happening in that exactly moment and was the perfect meeting between the shape, the problems of the environment, the people living in a place, and as well the nature. And this sentence as well means that we have always to go ahead and to get new goals, new challenges, always open, because the limits always use us to build better things. And yeah, we have to be curious as well. During the time, of course, the meaning of sustainability has evolved, and we are going ahead a lot of steps, especially in the last years, but we have always to think that when we build a building, we are using energy. And when this building is live, is using energy as well. In the last years, we have been doing a lot of steps about the meaning of having a building that use less energy during the time that is living this building. But we didn't focus really the attention in general all around the world to what is the meaning about building something with less energy. So starting to think about more what is the meaning of vernacular architecture. In the past, they couldn't really use energy. And so that means that they had to find some ways, some materials in the place where they were living that they could use because they were already there. And even always thinking to find strategies that could work with the environment that they had at that time. Nowadays, we have a lot of technologies that is helping us to save energy, but in the past that was not possible. And that's why we are always trying to be curious and to make researches about what was the meaning of the vernacular architecture of the past. We are seeing that the ancient, they were always really intelligent because they were always they were always really good finding good solutions to build buildings with less energy, and together at the same time really intelligent, really smart buildings without using energy even during the life of the building. So that's why, for example, this graphic is showing us that at the beginning, so that means in the really past, they were using they were really building really intelligent buildings, really smart buildings, CO2 neutral, because they were really using what they were there. Then there was one point when we started with the technology, then we stopped to build this building that they were so good. So there was a big change. Then in the last years, we are trying again to build up again what was built before. And that's why during our studies, during our development of architecture projects, we are always trying to have a journey about what was been doing in the past. So every project that we are doing, we are always trying to think what happened before. So how in the past the people, the civilization that were here could maybe make some thoughts about it. Mario Cucinella wrote a book about this topic, so he made a lot of researches about the vernacular architecture, and he made kind of a journey through several phrases. Here you can find some examples. Then we will have a look in detail about the wind catchers in Pakistan, because it was the inspiration of one of our projects that I will explain to you later. And these are all examples that they were really using the nature. They were empathy with the environment, and they were really good built. So that's why we are always, even during our development of our architecture, about using the creativity, we are even inspiring ourselves, our building, to the plants, because actually trying to understand the bioprinciples and how, for example, a cactus is made, that is in the desert, that has a shape really particular, with that it's kind of in shadow itself, because this shape makes him like close, and so that means that even if it's really warm, the sun cannot touch the sides of the cactus, and then you have these dots that are just catching from the air the water. And that's why, for example, this cactus is really good working in a desert environment. We are trying as well to transmit this principle of nature in our buildings. So trying to understand how the plants are adapting themselves in an environment and transform themselves into a building as well, using the same principle of the plants. And that's a little bit an overview about our philosophy, our methods, and how we try to keep working, being conscious about that an architect is always leaving a footprint on earth. And that's important to think, of course, about what we are leaving on earth, even sometimes fighting against clients and other opportunities and business. But we have to think that these buildings, then they will be there forever. And that's why all of us as architects, we have always to think that everything that we are building, everything that we are creating is something that stays in earth forever. And that's why we have always to make thoughts about what we are doing. I will go now more in detail about some projects. And as the first project, I will speak about ARPA headquarters. The ARPA headquarters, ARPA means Regional Agency for Prevention, Environment and Energy. And when we start this project, the client specifically asked us for a sustainable office building. And they wanted really to meet the highest architectural and environmental standards. This building is in Ferrara, in Italy, close to Bologna, actually, and was completed in 2018. Is almost 5,000 square meters, and it wants to explore the relationship between what's the meaning of performance, and makes it as well one of the first hybrid buildings in Italy. It's just outside the city of Ferrara, this building, and we have in this area a climate that during the year has two extremes. We have in summer hot and humid, really humid actually, and winter is cold and foggy. We can say that only in spring we have a normal relation between temperature and humidity. For us, as I explained before, the definition of sustainability is not just connected with aesthetics, but especially for us, the meaning is empathy with the place, with the climate, and with the people. So now I will bring you across our research that we did for this building. We got inspired by the city of the wind, Hyderabad, in Pakistan. And actually, it's really the city that catches the wind. It's a city that was built in 1768. And we started long researches. We started to be curious and looking at all vernacular architecture. And then we dropped to this city. And we thought that this city could really be the perfect inspiration for our project. We found out this city, as the name said properly, is a city that catches the wind. And this unsensitization was really smart. And I invented, without the technology that our society can use nowadays, really intelligent methods, using the shape of the building to get the natural comfort inside without the use of energy. In our travel we got that, I mean, our attention was caught by all these shapes that you can see in this picture. And you can see that on the bottom of all the buildings, you have kind of kites. So it's really particular as a skyline. And this is something that really catch our attention, because we could even see together in this picture that was something really well thought for the sustainability of the buildings that were built there, but as well was really beautiful. And that's why we were really interested about it. This city, Hyderabad, is located close to the Indo River in Pakistan, between the desert of Thar and the Oman Gulf. And here, of course, it's a climate, I mean, it's in the desert, and we have dry and warm wind coming from the Arabic desert, and at the same time, we have cold wind coming from the north. And so that's why the technology of construction is coming in this city from all traditions, and the mix between the Indian culture and the Muslim culture. The intelligence in this construction for us was really the ability to catch the wind and the connection with the natural environment, because that was really made to improve the internal environment of the house, so the interior spaces. And these kites, as you can see there, are called mangu. And these mangus are really special, because all the mangus are oriented to the south. And so that means that they are really catching the wind. So the wind can go inside really fast to the building, especially if one mango is really high, the wind then faster goes inside, and that means that then will refresh all the spaces that are on the bottom. Normally, all these roofs are oriented the direction of the south, because in summer they have to catch the wind coming from the south, and in winter they have to protect with this shape the cold wind coming from the north. And all these shapes are like they have a sun shading system integrating on the top of them. And that means that it's something that manually a person can control it and can adapt it to the necessity of the people, of the person living inside. So it's something like that you have the possibility to use natural elements and adapt it to your needs, and using you have this tool that you can really catch them and bring it inside to your home. And so normally they used to open these mangus during the evening. So after sunset they were opening them, because after sunset in summer you can start to get a little bit of colder wind. This wind is going really fast inside and refreshing all the house. Normally they will be open till 11 of the next day, and so then you have during the day the possibility to close them and to protect yourself from the sun. And in the summer, other way around is in winter. You will open them during the day and you will close them during the night. If you use this strategy, and the direction is in the direction of the south, you will bring as well light inside of the building. That is something even really important, because in winter you need light. Then we have as well to speak about the topic of some topics around the Arabic culture. They are using to be really close against the desert and the environment, because they have to get protected from it. But normally they want as well to have a connection with the sky, and that's why they have normally a system of patios or courtyards, and in this way you can have kind of a connection with the sky. The sky is something as well really important for every people, especially for the Arabic culture. you have the opportunity to be inside your home and to have kind of a private piece of sky just for you. In the night, during the night, when you will open it in summer, you will have a strong connection with the stars. And other way around in winter, opening them, you will have a strong connection with the sun. So this kind of system, it's something that really catch our attention. And we thought, why not? Let's try to use this solution and repeat it in a place in Italy, just to take the challenge that our client gave us and really trying to fight against the sustainable buildings, how to build a sustainable building, but always with beauty, with respect of the vernacular architecture, with respect of what was made in the past. And we decided to use wood as well because we wanted to be in contact with the nature there. And it's this building is located just outside of the city of Ferrara, surrounded by nature. So that's why we decided to keep it as much as possible with some colors, with some materials that were already there in the nature where we were building them. And then we use these shapes to repeat the same technology that was made in this vernacular architecture that I just explained. And so at the end, we build 120 chimneys, I guess. And it's something that it's really working because we have some office inside. They are catching the light from this system of courtyards. And they have this strong connection as well with the sky and with the nature. And as well, they are getting a really good comfort inside. The system is exactly the same as the chimneys that we have seen, we said before, because the only thing that we made some little adjustment using the nowadays technology. So in summer, they are closed during the day, and so the warmth can go up and can go out of the building. Other way around, in winter, we are using these chimneys as kind of greenhouses. So in the way that the air that is contained in these chimneys with the system, just because it's a volume close, is getting warm, this air. And then with a mechanical system, we are keeping this warm air and introducing it to the building when we need it. And that's why we can say that it's something that is really using some vernacular architecture standards, but with the little bit of engineering of these years to use this warm volume of air and introducing it to the building. Other way around, in summer, we don't need the ventilation because thanks to this chimney effect, the warm air is going to the top and is going outside. Of course, some of these roofs are as well full with the photovoltaic panels, and that means that helps for sure, even because in Italy we have a lot of sun, especially in summer, and it helps as well to self-sustain the building itself. That's a picture about the final building. And the client asked us to put some devices inside to control even during the last 5 years and monitor the building if it's really doing what we intend of. And actually, we are starting to have the first results about it. And we are pretty happy because we are really getting our goals that we wanted to have at that time. So as you can see, all of you, sometimes as architects, we have really the responsibility to what we are building, and we have always to try to build things that are in connection with nature, that are shaped by nature, shaped with nature technologies, or shaped with ancient technologies. Of course, we have to mix it with the new nowadays technology because it's something that, of course, we have, but we have to be conscious about how we are using and always try to explore new opportunities of development. the structure is completely made in wood, not just the facade, but even all the building is in wood, just another detail. And as you can see, it's really matching the nature. Here is an example of some study that we have been doing to simulate the building before building it. These are some pictures from the interior parts and the offices. And these are the system of patios that we have inside of the building that are like taking the air from the inside and bringing it out to the top. Then just as a connection with the building that I have been speaking, I will introduce to you a new tower that we are building in Milan. I don't know if you have heard, did you hear something about the Unipol Tower? Because it's in Porta Nuova. It's in the new development area in the city center of Milan, close to the vertical forest. And this is an example that I wanted just quickly to introduce you, because it's as well using, it's a tower, but it's as well using the same principle that I've been speaking in the other building in ARPA, because as well as an interior patio. And so we try to reproduce at the same time, even in this building, the possibility to have a chimney effect. So we build a first layer of facade that is not a warm facade, and then inside we put a patio that it's really going across the whole building from the main entrance to the top. This patio, it's like taking as well the air from the bottom, the warm air from the bottom, and bringing it to the top, and bringing them away. And then this other part that you can see from the other side are just offices that they are there, and in this point exactly you have the real facade. So this space between the real facade of the building on the left and the exterior facade is theoretically a patio that you don't have to warm it up, and so that means that you will save a lot of energy, because it's not a place that you have to use energy to make it comfortable. And that's important, because it was a really big space. We don't want it to use energy. We took this challenge. We repeat this chimney effect, and we had the possibility then to have a really huge atrium that goes across the whole tower, that is 130 meters circa. And as you can see, we fight for our beauty, trying to keep environmental strategies, sustainability strategies. And then on the top, we decide to have a sky garden, so kind of an hanging garden that is always refreshing, bringing nature inside of the city. That, of course, it's a really normal topic, but it's as well important to plant trees. And even the nature, we have always to remember that it's helping to decrease the degrees, especially in summer, and bringing a little bit of freshness to the environment that you have there. That's a view about the garden that we have been planning there. And that's the first, because it's still in construction site, the first picture about this rooftop. And finally, this is the entrance of the building that as well we decide to have kind of a skirt of this facade that is kind of popping up. And there is this square under it, and you can just sit there and you have a little bit of shadow effect. And this is as well from a couple of weeks ago in Milan, the state of this tower. Then, even to give you an overview about the meaning across a lot of kind of buildings of sustainability for us is, I will as well quickly introduce you the Hospital of San Raffaele. It's already built. It's in Italy and in Milan as well. And of course, as you can see, as architects, we have to take a lot of challenges. So we were speaking before about an office building, then about a tower as well for offices. Then this other one is an hospital, and it's really important to always fight for beautiness, especially in a place like an hospital where it's really important because it's bringing people together. We developed this concept as well of this hospital, starting for the shape and starting for something that could bring something special to the building. The idea was to represent an iceberg, something that was like there, freeze inside of this building, but as well we wanted to use environmental strategies, and that's why we use this facade with a lot of vertical depth elements to make shadow as well to the facade, and that's always a big deal when you are building a glass house, because of course glass, especially in Italy, it's really difficult to deal with, because in summer it's really impossible to live inside, and then you will need a lot of energy to work to other way around to make it cold. And that's why we developed this concept of a facade that was like made with a lot of vertical elements, especially in this floor plan. You can see that they are really depth. They are like 30 centimeters or 40 centimeters, and they are oriented in a way that they have to shape, to make shadow to the facade. That's an interior part, and as you can see, even from the interior, you have the perception that you are outside, but you can see a lot of shadows inside, a shadow form shapes inside, because these parts are, some of them, they are not transparent, and even the transparent part, we put this layer we made these lines that they are always helping as well to avoid that all the light is coming inside of the building. And this is a detail of the facade, and as you can see from the outside, you don't have the perception that is a glass facade, because all these elements are really helping the summertime of this building. And we have been seeing in the last years, again, the renderings of this building that we planned almost 15 years ago. And actually, we were really surprised, because the building was far away better as the renderings that we have been doing before. That often it's the other way around, that the renderings are always a way to dream. And then when we are building it, it's always really difficult. But here we have to say that with this building, we really reach our goal. And we could really make something that was really balanced and well done for the goal that we put to ourselves. Then just to change a little bit the scale of the project, I wanted to show you a really small residential project, even to understand how we are using this technology even for the residential area. This building is in Monza, is a city close to Milan. And it's in a really important part because it's on the main axis of the Villa Reale, that was the historical palace. So it was really difficult, because we had to deal with historical reality. We had to deal with a lot of limits, because we have in Italy a lot of controls about what you build, how you build, especially in historical areas. And as well, we had to deal with the area that was completely raised, because before we had a factory there, but we had two historical buildings on the front, Villa Azzurra and Casa delle Aste, and they were protected. So we had somehow to study how to give again to this main street the beautiness of the 20s. And all this, as you can see from the top, all this road is full of green. So that was really important, because in the old construction, they used to put green inside, so trees inside, and then you have the park behind the villa. And so we had always to keep this green part and the old green style as well to our area. But from the other side, we wanted to keep as well the industrial part. So we start studying the urban footprint of the factory that it was there. And we decided, okay, we added a couple of axes and we added a principal shape. And so, okay, we understood what we could build there. For sure, we had to give a lot of importance to the main buildings on the front because we have to keep the historical reality. And we had to keep the green with the special trees and exactly the green as it was. So we decided, okay, that was the shape that we could build because it was really limited. And so we decided, okay, how we can really create a living garden here. So something that you can really have the feeling that you are in an historical garden, but with new technologies and new shapes, organic shapes maybe. And so that's why we started to think about it. Okay, we have to keep the historical walls. We have to keep these green green trees. We have to keep the Villa Azzurra on the right. And we have to build a building that it's not taking out importance to this main chimney that we have in the middle. And we want to keep as well the industrial reality, industrial memories. So we started to move the volume and to starting to use as much as possible organic shapes because we wanted to reinterpret the nature, how the nature is made. And that's why we decided to make this organic court in the middle. And then from the other side, we didn't want it to be really high because otherwise from the main street, you could see that the building is too high and then having a not so good impact. And that's why we decided to lower the upper part of the building and to just keep higher the part on the other side in the way to hide it a little bit. And then from another way, we wanted to have a picture that from the top you have the feeling that you are in a garden, so that you are not really making an impact about the place where we are doing. So we really wanted kind of a green carpet. And that's why we grow up this idea to have some private gardens, of course, some public places that is this part connecting the two buildings, and trying to have as less as possible visible footprint of architects and humans of nowadays. And that's why a little bit at the end, after all these researches, we are trying at the moment, because it's in the construction site, to build a living garden and some hanging landscape, trying to reproduce what was there before, trying to have less impact as possible with this architecture and this park in front of it, trying to have as well a lot of layers of impact of kinds of garden, because the first garden, it will be accessible to everybody. The second garden inside the courtyard, it will be accessible just for the people living there. And then the other gardens on the tops, it will be more for the people that are living in these apartments. Then, of course, we are dealing with new necessary technologies, and on the top of the two parts, we had to put solar panels. But as you can see from the top of this picture, even in comparison with the parts of the landscape around it, we try to kind of connecting the parts on the right and on the left without as less as possible, so without touching too much what was happening there before. That's a footprint of the building that we are doing. And now still we are working, I mean, this part in the middle, it's already in the construction site, and on the right part, we are still working because we have kind of a second stage. And so about the sustainability concept, I have already explained several of them, but we can make a review. We are trying to work with deciduous trees. So that means that in summer, they will be full of leaves and they will make a shadow on the bottom of all the park. And other way around, in winter, they will lose the leaves. And then that means that you will have more connection with the sky and the sun can go through them. Of course, even we have evaporation effect, evapotranspiration effect, okay, of the vegetation, because of course in summer it's really important to have a little bit more of humidity made by the vegetation. Then we will have as well evaporation of the water thanks to this small water park that we build in this main entrance of the building. And then, of course, we are trying somehow to make a CO2 emission compensation through planting new trees that, as you have been seeing in the pictures before, it was completely raised without no trees. And about the building itself, we will have of course, a facade that is really shadow thanks to these big, generous terraces. As well, the material of the terraces, it's remembering the nature of the place and the industrial reality, using as well cotto or bricks. Then we will have the solar panels on the top of it, natural ventilation, reuse of meteorical water, and as well the regeneration of existing buildings. For example, as we said, the Villa Azzurra, the chimney behind, it's always something that when we are regenerating existing building, we are not creating new ones, and we don't have the problem to how to deal with the things of the building that we are throwing away. This is a way how we work. As I said before, we are still keep trying to work as artisans. And so we are like always doing a lot of models till the moment that we are finding the perfect shapes. And that's the main picture of the building from this main road. And the top view of it as we are building it. And this is a view of the terraces. Of course, all these glass facade, it will be provided by some shadings to close them and to have it more privacy, and at the same time repair itself from the sun in summer. We had to study as well the small building around the chimney that was a restoration. And we try to use always the red brick material, so inspiring from the tones of the chimney. And the other thing, we try to just keep the volume as pure as possible to remember the industrial reality of this place, but to shape it in contemporary ways. This is another picture of the interior part of the courtyards that when you are working there, you have the feeling that you are embraced by all these shaped balconies. This is a study that we have been doing with the chimney to find the perfect match colors for all the balconies, and to have these ceramic parts of the balcony that are really depth, because that helps that when you are sitting inside, you can look through them. But since they are all curves, when you are walking on the bottom of the building, since they are really depth, you cannot see inside because it's like they are covered. And so you can give in this way privacy to the people that are living there. These are some sections and some palettes of the color that we have been using. And finally, okay, this is the final picture. This is something that I will explain really fast. It's another project that it's finished, just to explain you how we are working from several types of building. This is a cultural building in Milan, and it has been already built, and it's under the earth and under an historical building in Milan. So that was a really big challenge. And our client said to us that they wanted to have a private collection of Etruscan vases and Etruscan art. And we had to find the right concept to interpret it and to bring all these vases in the right place. Of course, in that part, it was really focused on the experience of the visitor that was going there. So we try to understand how we can put this sculpture in the right way to make the person that is going through that and observe them as at the best ways. And these are some some study that we have been doing, even studying the Etruscan architecture, and try to understand how we can deal with this vernacular architecture that is the origin of the vase and of the art that we are putting inside this building. And so we started as well to make models to understand the perfect shapes. Of course, we are sometimes mixing them, making them with the styropor, and then with the computer, with parametric software, and then building it again. And that's always a process really important for us. And even the architect Cucinella is always using the models as a kind of a tool of communication between us to understand if we are going in the good way and to experience the building as much as possible. This was the historical building. And as you can see here on the first part of the picture, you have some dunes, green dunes. Exactly behind these green dunes, we have our museum. So we had to elevate the building and build something under the land to discover this art, and then we cover it again. So there was one day that we have been seeing trees flying in Milan from one side of the building to the other one. And this is the part of the museum on the part of the building that we had to restore. We try to use more contemporary colors, but keeping always the essence of the historical building. And then under the land, as I explained before, or I tried to explain before, we have our museum. So the visitor, it's like arriving there, taking some stairs and going on the bottom of it, and having kind of an experience about what is happening there, and trying to live again how was the architecture of the ancient civilization. We made it everything by stone. We use software to cut all the stone in this way to have this effect. We try to keep everything as clean as possible, and we use some system to bring light inside as well from this garden. And of course, it was a perfect study about light, how we could admire as much as possible all these art pieces using natural light and using artificial light. And of course, trying to find the best balance to give the sensibility of some vernacular architecture. These are some pictures from how you can walk through them, and these are not renderings, but final pictures. And here you can see some details of the Serena stone that was the stone used to build this building. And then I will introduce the small little project that is a church that we have been building it in the south of Italy. It's a really small town, and as well, it was something that we were like, okay, we have to do this small church. How we are gonna do it? It should be something small, but following all the rules of the Catholic religion. So it was a challenge as well. So okay, we start again studying architecture, starting from the best masterpiece in the world, and trying to find the perfect shape. And then it was a surprise, and we built that thing. Of course, we had to keep some religious signs because we couldn't avoid to put them, and that's why we decided, for example, to integrate this cross with the shape of the architecture and to make hidden the entrance of the building. That was something that it's something that you have to find it as well, and to keep the volume as clean as possible. And then that was the first render that we have been doing. We had to work, for example, as well here with several rules of the Catholic Church, because, for example, the priest has always to be on some steps. It cannot be on the same level of the visitors of the church, of the Catholic person that are going there. You need always to have a cross inside. And as all the architecture is always doing in all the churches that we have been seeing along the years, the light is the most important thing that you have as an architect to play with. And so we decide just to put some textile elements on the top of it. These are pictures. and to work with a special texture, almost everything handmade, to have something really pure, but really, really special, because we really wanted to have a filter light, something that when you are inside, you have really the feeling that it's something special and you are really having this connection with the sky, with the light, and with what's happening outside, and as well somehow emphasizing the meaning of the religion. And these are, so even the elements of the church, we develop as well the product design of the church. It was as well a little bit difficult because it was not just the design of a normal chair, but you need all the tools and all the elements that needs a bench in the church. And that's why we had to develop some special features about it. And so suddenly, yeah, this little small town in Calabria has this church. So it was a surprise for everybody, and we have been speaking with the people, and they are really happy, and they are going to this church. So it was a good example of beauty and of something that you can really live in a good way. A participatory design project is this Hybride nursery school. Maybe this one you have been hearing about it because it's really famous. We started from the fairy tale of Pinocchio that everybody knows, and the experience to go inside the whale at the end of the fairy tale. And we have to make this nursery school. So we think about something, okay, what's the most important experience that a kid is doing when he's a child? And what is the spirit of the fairy tale? And we remember that when Geppetto was inside the whale, it was a big issue, a big problem. And it was something that for sure made our childhood. And so we start to think about, okay, we have to make a story about, I mean, we want that the children are going to this school and live something that it's important for them. And that's why we started to develop our architecture based on the fairy tale of Pinocchio. We made some sketches with Mario. We start to speak with a lot of teachers, even to understand the methods of the lessons, how they want to deal with the children, new methods, and to shape as well architecture with the leads of the teachers. And after a lot of dialogues with the municipality, with the teachers, with children, playing with them, then we build up this building that it should remind the whale and the history of Geppetto. We are playing with light. We are making everything in wood, in the middle of the hoods. So it's something as well that you have a strong connection with the nature. So you are inside, but when you are inside, you have the feeling that you are outside. And somehow when you are moving from one side to the other one, you are really connected with the shape of the belly of the whale. And somehow we made as well this floor that was coming up as well to help the children to play as much as possible and to really live this experience to be inside the space. And of course, we had to deal with a lot of design elements and things that are necessary in a kindergarten. And then, yeah, at the end, come up with this building that it's not so big. It's a small thing, and it's already pretty old. But still, we think that it's helping us because it's a little bit as well the essence how to build something that is really has a strong empathy with the people. Now I will go to the last project. And I wanted to show you that we have inside MCA an R&D, Research and Development department. And that's something really important because every time that we are starting a project, we are always keeping the concepts that R&D is developing. So all the time, our department, our unit is looking for new vernacular architecture, new technology, new ways to having a connection with the place where we are building something. And that's why somehow every competition, every contest, every new client that is coming, it's always going through our research and development unit. And it's something really special because not all the architectural firms as a unit like our unit, because of course it's an investment from our company to have this unit, but for us it's the only way to really build something useful or trying to leave a good footprint on Earth. So that's a little bit our mission, because we have always to think about what we are building, as I said before, and that's why we are always doing, we have a social responsibility, and we have always to think about what we are doing. And now I will explain in detail more the project of Tekla, that as well, it was really famous in the last year. It's not a project, I have to say, as first of all, but it's a prototype. It's a prototype of somehow eco-sustainable house, 3D printed entirely from raw earth. So it should be, as much as I know, the first prototype built through 3D printed technology in raw earth. So MCA, together with WASP, that is a worldwide society, that means World's Advanced Saving Project, completed this prototype of 3D printed with local earth. This approach started from innovative and pioneering collaboration between the two firms, and we work closely throughout the project design and construction possibilities. As well, even in this project, we thought about how we can bring vernacular architecture and technology of vernacular architecture in this prototype, in this process. We have been inspired of the history, one of the cities of Italo Calvino. Maybe you have been reading some books of Italo Calvino. There is one of the invisible cities. And for this building, we inspire ourselves to the city in continuous construction. Why? Because the name Tekla evokes this strong link between the past and the future, because we are combining a material that it was used in the past in all the vernacular architecture, and so something really, it should remind something really timeless, and we are combining it because we are building it with the technology that we have just now in the 21st century. So it was kind of the perfect mixture between our researches. That was why we were really happy about developing this project, because it was really a good connection. Of course, the idea of Tekla was born even to respond to a lot of nowadays necessities. Of course, the increasing serious climate emergency, that was one of the first topics. The second one was that we wanted to start building something that when you build it, you don't have a huge cost of construction. And that was solved because we were using local materials. So we didn't have to use energy, or the factories that are building the bricks, that are building other things, that then we have to transport it, to bring it to the place, to build it together. And so somehow, to make this prototype, it was good, because we thought, okay, we are using the earth exactly that we can find on that place. And then, of course, somehow it was made even to respond to the urgent crisis, sometimes, for example, generated by large migrations or natural disaster. Actually, in Italy, we have several of them as well. And so we thought, okay, if in the future we have to build a house really fast, we have to think about the method, speaking always about prototype and not about the finished building, of course, but we wanted to research in that direction. And so for us, we like to think that Tekla maybe is the beginning of a new story. It's the beginning of something, of a new technology that is really the meeting between the past and the actual technology that we have. So we started as well to think about the shape, which shape we should give to this building. And of course, as well, we thought about, so we didn't want it to just be focused about aesthetic of the house. And but we wanted as well to have some materials that they have some technical and material effort. So we wanted really to have a perfect balance between the shape, the material, so the mix of the earth that we are using to make these walls, and as well the thickness of the walls and the consistency as well of the walls. And so together with WASP, we started to think about several shapes that could somehow self-construct themselves. So we thought about these domes, so to make kind of a dome, always to have this idea of the light coming from the top, and of the chimneys that I have been saying to you, that it's something that we are really studying and pursuing. And then as well, of course, it was important to understand how we are going to build it. So with which kind of earth mixture I want to use it. And so we started to think about not just directly to build a house close to Bologna in Marina di Ravenna, but we thought, okay, let's try to think about that we want to build 4 houses. We are going to develop just one for a prototype and to build it, but let's think that we want to make one in with hot and arid climate, another one in Mumbai, hot and humid climate, and another one in Bologna. Together with our School of Sustainability that we have inside, we started to make a lot of studies about which will be the shape that better could fit with this climate. And that's why we so we develop some shapes that will work better for that climate. And the one on the top is the one that we choose then for Bologna and for this kind of climate. And that's why we start to reproduce it, to understand some focus about how it could be a theoretically city for it, and or theoretically small development of it. And then, of course, something that we had to think as well was we had to 3D print this envelope. So we had to think really about how it will be made, the wall of this envelope. So the frequency of the part inside, the depth of the walls, and the part of the hair of the insulation as well, and all this ventilation part. So we made, of course, together with the help of Grasshopper scripts and together with WASP, of course, it was a big challenge because we have to think about the structure. So because we should make something that could be buildable, at least for a prototype. We had to think about the shape that for us brings a plus building it. And we had to think as well about some thermal mass, some ventilation inside, insulation, and shading as well. And so that's a good example because we make several tests and we found the perfect balance to have all these elements together in the same thing. This was a render that we made just to understand how it will be. We did a lot of tests together with WASP to have something that could be built really fast with the technology that they had and everything. And so it was a little bit some ideas. And then together with WASP, we developed as well, or they had already, but it was really important to have a machine with 2 arms that was building at the same time one part and another one, because as well, for us, it was really important to keep and to win the challenge to build this house in less of 200 hours. And we made it. We are still studying more about this house. But we think, or we want to think, that this is just one of the first steps that we are doing as society to develop something new, something that could be challenging for this century. I will put a small video of, I think it's 1 minute, but it will help to understand how we build this house and how it's made the wall and everything, as I explained at the moment. . So that was our final prototype. It was this home of 60 square meters with the kitchen, with the living room, and a bed as well, and all the service. We tried somehow as well to build the furniture inside when it was possible, using as well 3D printed raw earth. For example, the bench that you can see on the right or on the bottom part. And when we had to use furniture, we wanted to try, I mean, we didn't really get our goal at 100% because we couldn't 3D print all the furniture inside, but at least we had the goal to use some furniture made with recyclable materials, or to reuse it always, to keep this circle close of recycling and reuse as a circular house model. That was really important for us to transmit this message, to trying to build something that could be reused. The mixture of the earth, as I said before, was studied as well to understand, even in each climate, how depth should be the walls and how thick and everything, because of course every earth from every land, from every singular place, are not the same, and we use it as well. That's really, really important, because it's really important in this concept to think that we use really a material that was already there, and if tomorrow we want to don't have anymore this house and we have to destroy it, we can destroy it, and nature is going back to nature, and we are not having a bad impact about our environment. That was our concept. We have still to work on it. It's for sure an important research topic. And for this reason, as well as several architecture firms, we have a School of Sustainability Foundation, because the architect Mario Cucinella worked in the last 20 years for several universities as guest professor. For example, he was on the Technische Universität München as well for 1 year, and he made a lot of research, and he wanted to keep researching and keep giving to the next generation as well this principle. And that's why at the moment in Milan, we have the School of Sustainability. I mean, it's been increasing a lot, because at the beginning was more an experiment, and now every year we are receiving a lot of curriculums that people that wants to apply and to work there. We are still taking almost 15 people per year, not more. Somehow it is a school that it's really important for us, because we have the opportunity to get in touch with the new generation and always have new ideas coming from the new generation, because that's really important with the new technology and everything. And from the other side, of course, is a way to exchange our knowledge and to give it to someone else, and to use the time to develop the time and the opportunity of this school to develop this kind of prototypes and ideas that we really believe on. And it's a postgraduate education based, of course, in sustainability, architecture and design. And at the moment, it is based in Milan. So these are some ideas that we are always developing through the School of Sustainability, so other kind of houses. But somehow we are pretty happy with the results that we are keeping, and we have a lot of firms as well, especially Italian firms, that are collaborating with the school to make prototypes and to make always small projects, small ideas, even coming out from the school. for example, some products of some lamps and other things. So we are keeping a lot of student activities together with them. There is a strong exchange between our office and this school, and that's for us pretty important. And these are all the list of partners that they are working with us. And closing our lecture, I wanted to show you the last video about, as we used to call them, fields of beauty, because we had the opportunity to work in the close to Bologna with really small project, because unfortunately a couple of years ago, 8 years ago, there was a strong earthquake close to Bologna, and it was a big issue for the people living there, because a lot of people lost the house, funds were not coming, and of course they lost the school. They lost especially all the places of reunion of the people. And that was something that was not helping to improve the humor of the people, because after an earthquake, you really need to be close to the people and to give them the opportunity to get together again, and to have the opportunity to get together in some places that you can still believe that you can go in a building and enjoy it together with other people, and not avoiding to be inside of the building. So we had the opportunity to build something there. It was a lot of small projects, especially made in wood, because it's of course something, a technology really good to fight against future earthquakes. And I will show you the last video, and then I will close the lecture with the buildings that we have been doing after the earthquake in Italy. This is what I have been saying at the moment. And that's all. So, yeah.
Hallo? Hallo? Ah, es geht wieder. Okay, perfekt. Ja, vielen Dank für diesen spannenden Vortrag. Wir haben sehr viele Eindrücke in die Projekte und auch in die Philosophie eures Büros bekommen. Ja, habt ihr noch Fragen? Die können auch auf Deutsch gestellt werden. Okay, warte, ich komme mal eben, damit jeder die Frage hört.
Okay. It's a bit weird. My question is concerning the Tekla project. I was wondering if you added any admixtures to the clay so it would dry faster or would be stronger to withstand more forces. And if so, which additives did you put in it, and are they recyclable and circularity-able?
The main principle of this building was to just use the mix of earth that was on the local part. Of course, we have to work with several local earths, so to extract it and to find really the perfect balance. But as much as I know, so maybe I don't know it perfectly, but we didn't use additives about it, and everything it's 100% recyclable. So you can build it down. Actually, it is what is. I mean, this house was built just for 15 days, and then we destroy it because it was the idea to have just a prototype and to keep the essence of the prototype. And the earth, after destroying it, was just putting on the same place as it was before. So that's the main idea and concept that we developed there.
Okay, thank you. You said it was stood only for 15 days? So you
15 or 20 days.
Okay,
yeah.
so you don't have any long-term knowledge about how the...
Not at the moment. So it's a prototype. That's why I was saying a lot, because it's a prototype and it's something that, of course, if we have an emergency in 200 hours, we can build it and we can keep it for a short period. So still, if you think in a theoretical way, if we have a big problem on Earth, as earthquake or something really important, we achieved the goal to build something quickly and to have something there. But still, we have to work we have to work more. That's why I said that we are still keep working. I'm still seeing on the office from our research and development department a lot of pictures of new ideas, of new technologies, of new things, how to keep it as long as possible. And so still we have, we are trying to reach this goal still, but it's difficult because, of course, if you want just to work with Earth, if it's raining a lot, we know what does it mean. But if we think about some climates that maybe rains less than in Italy, and we are building them really fast, and we need them for an emergency, somehow we reach our goal. So it depends, of course, of the points of view and of the use. We are not saying that all of us will live in the future in a raw earth house. But for emergency, we think that we are on the right direction. Of course, working together with WASP, we can decrease the quantity of hours to build this house, that it will be possible. And as well from the other side, we can think about some other climates, so maybe warmer without rain. So still Germany, maybe it's a problem, but to keep them as much as possible. Otherwise, we will need maybe other solutions. Maybe it's the shape a solution to avoid it, to have water inside and to, but that's a philosophy, and it's a way to work. If we are curious, slowly we will reach our goal. I mean, I'm pretty sure about it.
Okay, thank you.
So, noch eine Frage?
Aber braucht man nicht eigentlich genau da Notunterkünfte, wo Extremsituationen herrschen? Und da muss ja eigentlich genau diese Notunterkunft auch diesen extremen Situationen standhalten, oder nicht?
It's about extreme environments, and if it has to be especially where the extreme environments are. So if that's an issue with the water, probably.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the water, I know that it's the main issue. So in general, did I understand it right?
Yeah.
Okay, the water, I understood that it's the main issue to the structure of this house, because of course, it's really having an interaction with the walls of the house. But that's why, for example, we put some pictures of other houses that they were not with the shape of dome, but with maybe a straight shape, so that the water, it's kind of self-protecting as well, the wall from the water, and that's why it could stay longer. I mean, still we have to develop a lot to understand how long it could take. I mean, how long these buildings could live, but mostly the water is the main problem. Did I answer your question?
Ja.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, noch wer? Jetzt bin ich schon hier oben, damit ich nicht nochmal runter und hochlaufen muss. Ja.
So about the first project with the wind, you talked a lot about catching the wind. Was there some wind in Bologna too you wanted to catch, or some special climate?
Yeah, we in close to Bologna, we have the city of Ferrara is in the really plain area, and then in 20 kilometers you have the mountain. So all the wind coming from the sea is arriving there really fast, because then you don't have something that is stopping them. Actually, is the wind more coming from east of Europe, and actually it's really strong in winter especially, and it could be even a little bit noisy because it's really foggy normally in winter, and then you have this wind, and the humidity is as well really high. And so that's why we thought to use these wind catchers, not just as wind catchers in this exactly same way as they are used, as they have been used in Pakistan, of course, because we have another climate, it's not the same. But somehow that's why we put some special tools, for example, to have the bottom of them made with the green, as a greenhouse that was like keeping the air and just introducing the air to the building with the nowadays technology, and to decide, okay, now we have this volume of air, and then we are putting them inside. In winter, there is wind, of course, but especially the important thing was the chimney effect. So to have in summer and then in winter as well at the same time. So that's why we developed this shape.
Thanks.
Okay, dann komme ich mal runter.
Regarding the climate crisis we are in right now, have you thought of switching out concrete structures with rammed earth, for example, or wood?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, because we are fighting every time more to trying to use good materials. That's for sure one important goal. I've been reading, for example, that in Germany at the moment, I'm not 100% sure, but I was speaking with a friend that she's architect in Germany, that, for example, now in Germany, the wood costs less than concrete. That's something that, for example, in Italy, still we have the other way around. So the concrete is still 30% cheaper than the wood. So of course, sometimes it's not easy to deal with clients that they are dealing with budget, that they are dealing with tables, with schedule, that how much cost every square meter, to convince them to use wood. But when we have the chance, when we have some good clients like the ARPA client, that they want really, I mean, they really said, we want this kind of building. Of course, it's a challenge that we are always taking. We are as well looking a lot about recycling materials. So how we can product some new material made by plastic or made by other things. For example, now at the Salone del Mobile in Milano, Mario Cucinella presented the chair made just with recycled plastic and 3D printed. It's inspired as well with the shapes of Tekla. You can Google it. But it's as well a step trying to make as much as possible this kind of technology in our production. It's not always easy, but we are trying to go in this direction. And the important or interesting thing is that every day more the clients that are coming to us are really, I mean, they are coming to us because they really want it, and that helps a lot, because we like to use the project always as a research period. And even in comparison with the budget, we always like to invest enough time for this part, because we really think that we have a responsibility about what we are doing on Earth. Of course, for example, the building that I showed you before in Monza, in this small city in Milano, close to Milano, that was a residential building. We wanted to make it in wood, but it was really difficult to deal with the client, because it was still for Italy too expensive. Hopefully in the next years we will have the other way around, as I heard that is happening already in Germany.
Thank you. But have you researched the potential of like rammed earth or clay?
Yes, we as well, for example, close to Bologna, we have, it's really famous for factories of production of clay and of production of fliesen. And actually that's a material that we found it far away better in comparison with marble or with other things that we are like destroying the landscape. And we are working with several of these firms, because actually they are really close, and it's one of the most important production of clays almost in the world. And it's pretty good, because they are using every day more recycled materials. Of course, the challenge is to use recycled materials and to produce something that then, if in the future we have to destroy it, we have to destroy it in a good way and not to have an impact on Earth. So that's something always that you have to read. And hopefully in the future, all the firms should work in that way, should have certificates that are saying these things. There are already certificates, but of course the firms that are developing these kind of things are even more expensive in comparison with the other, because they invest a lot about research and development. So still we have to find this balance, but hopefully with the consciousness of everybody about what is happening in the whole planet, and having this sensibility about what we are doing about transport of materials, because that's something even really important, to use what we have there. I mean, if we don't have this kind of firms or this kind of factories close to the place what we are building, maybe it makes no sense to bring Carrara marble to the other side of the earth, for example. But if we have to make something there, maybe it makes sense. I don't know. Even I have been seeing that there are a lot of factories that are using, again, the marble that was produced in the past and remade them, using it as well to make concrete. So there is a change. I mean, I'm seeing it when I'm meeting new firms that they are presenting us new products. And it's really the sensibility of the architect that makes the change, because if we are not sensible about it, then the client will not have the connection with the products. And then so that's why we used to say, and to give to the future generation of architects the sensibility about how much is important our work.
maybe one more question.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit utopian, but why not thinking of creating timeless architecture which maybe never gets demolished? So
Yeah, somehow that's the goal. So that's the goal, that we shape an architecture that, of course, we have to think about the shape. We have to think about beauty, because beauty as well increase the level of the life of the people. We know it, and the connection with nature, we know that it's important. But if we always have this feeling about how we have to build it with the nowadays technology, with what we are fighting at the moment, hopefully in the future, someone will look at our architecture and will understand, oh, okay, they made this discover, this other discover, because they had these problems and they solve it in this way. So that's the to interpret it in a different way somehow in comparison with the articles of newspapers about the word sustainability, because everybody now is speaking about sustainability, but sustainability in a timeless direction and building something that is not just, okay, super sustainable with tables, but is something ugly, maybe it makes no sense. But when it's something that is not responding to the necessity of the people that will be living there, is as well a fail from our point of view. And so, yeah, that will be, I mean, hopefully in the future, someone will look at our architecture and will think, okay, they made maybe this error, but maybe making a lot of errors, maybe we will get one final good goal that is fighting against this climate change that we have all around the world.
thank you.
Noch weitere Fragen?
I wanted to ask about the tower, or like the glass
Unipol
thing,
Tower.
because you built a second facade and you don't have to cool the place or heat the place. And I want to know if like you have any numbers about the energy you save, or like, you know, if the energy you save is actually more than what you need for like building the second facade and the materials.
I don't have the numbers at the moment, but of course it's always, I mean, we wanted to give to this client. I mean, it was as well a challenge, because we are saying to our client that he has the space, he can build, I don't know, XY square meters per floor. And one day the architect Cucinella came with the idea to say to the client and convince the client that we are not gonna build, I don't know, I'm saying a number, 500 square meters per floor, multiply all the floors. But we want to make a void on this building, so they will have less workstation inside this building. And of course, that was something that, yeah, why you are doing? Because if they are a developer, if our client is a developer, and it was our case, they want to build as much as possible. That's always something that you will have to fight with. But somehow then we explained this concept that we wanted to keep this round facade, this oval shape that was possible, and to make this whole, because for us, this place in the middle was helping the quality of the life of the workers, because you will be somehow you will have this distance from the first facade, and you will have this chimney effect in the middle, and then you will have a vertical connection along the wall tower. And so somehow with this number, with the studies, we convinced our client that was something buildable. I don't have the numbers, so to reply to your questions, but if you are interested, we can give you more details about it.
Okay, noch eine Frage? Dann gehe ich jetzt mal wieder runter.
Ja, super. Dann auf jeden Fall vielen Dank, dass ihr alle so zahlreich heute erschienen seid. Und wie immer gibt es hier nach ein bisschen Wein, ein paar Snacks. Bedient euch gerne, könnt auch gerne dann auch noch weitere Fragen stellen, falls irgendwas ungeklärt bleiben sollte. Ansonsten, genau, vielen Dank. Und nächste Woche Freitag geht es von 14:30 Uhr bis 16 Uhr hier weiter, auch im selben Leo, mit dem nächsten Vortrag unserer Reihe. Eigentlich sind wir immer mittwochs. Das ist jetzt der einzige Termin an einem Freitag, aber könnt ihn ja euch gerne auch notieren. Ansonsten euch einen schönen Abend und viel Spaß mit dem Wein und den Snacks.